Hey guys, welcome back to the Unpolitical but Political podcast. I hope you guys are well. Thanks for tuning in, by the way. If you're new here, welcome. If you're in existing, hello again. Thank you for streaming my recent episodes, Stocium episode 8 and gender roles on mental health, I think it was episode 9. Thank you for streaming. Please keep streaming gender roles and mental health and Stocium. I'd really appreciate if we can get those to about 15 listeners or 15 streams or downloads. Welcome guys. So today we are going to talk about let's see what we have today. Mental health narratives. This is really fascinating because I think the narratives of mental health and how people portray mental health is really interesting to me because this is a hard one because I've been on social media for a very long time, and I think now that social media has emerged and a lot of new features have come out, a lot of people have stepped into the industry, the way that it influences us nowadays is very it's kind of further perpetuated, whereas before social media wasn't like how it is now. It was more like low-key, and like people would only come on there to post and promote and sponsor and stuff like that before. Like it wasn't like how it is now. But one thing that I really wanted to talk about, because I find this really interesting, is that mental health, especially when it comes to social media, I feel like there's this narrative, especially with people in like the public eye, where they're almost forced to live up to like a false high and, you know, chase this like positive, like this negative, not like, they're almost like forced to chase a false high. So when I say that, I mean like they have to constantly portray this stigma that they are constantly happy, nothing's ever affecting their lives, you know, they don't deal with what like half of the population has to deal with, their lives are really perfect, you know, they're living abroad, they got the perfect car, the perfect house, they have the best relationships, nothing's really toxic, their houses are always clean, and I feel like it kind of differs into this whole clean girl aesthetic and clean boy aesthetic, where it's just like, okay, I have the perfect relationship, so that therefore means that now that I have a perfect relationship, like nothing is bound to go wrong. And I feel like mental health and this narrative of, I feel like social media just influences it to the point where it's just like when I scroll through social media for myself, for example, I like a lot of people, like I just feel like it's like a toxic narrative that they've pushed so far to surface level, where it's like, this is my life and this is how I want it to be only. So I remember I saw this quote on Instagram, and it was like, no, was it Instagram? I think it was Instagram, I can't remember. Instagram, and it said, it said, social media is like a place where people go to. It was something along the lines of like, if we think about it, like we're all miserable, but people use social media as like a way to show that they're not, or something along those lines. And I found it really fascinating because it was just like, not everyone lives up to the narrative that social media portrays. Like, we all have the fear of missing out. We've all been in the fear of missing out era. We've all been in the I want to have fun but don't know how to era. We've all been in the I want to be perfect but I don't know how to era. We've been in this era of trying to look our best. Like, I feel like perfectionism is also something in social media that they portray a lot. Like, just the need of being perfect. And, like, I realize as well that we push so far with, like, people will hear a rumor and drag it so far, and it's just like, it's like these people are not human beings and they're like robots, and like, I don't know, there's just something about it that just really pisses me off. But yesterday I went to the gym, and I feel like going to the gym is something that's also really good for your mental health, because there's this narrative of like, once you're in a like a bad mindset, like, you should just run straight to social media and see if that will help you. And it's just like, that doesn't fucking help. Like, for me personally, going to the gym was like, I've been going to the gym consistently from the jump. I remember I mentioned this in my previous podcast. I think it was on Stosium. Or, no, it was on episode 9, Gender Roles and Mental Health. I've been going to the gym consistently from the day that I got my membership until now. And with obviously a few breaks in between. But yeah, I've been going to the gym consistently since then. And when I tell you, it has changed my whole life. Like, I've been so happy for the part, like, since I started the summer break. And honestly, I couldn't tell you, like, how much social media sort of filters that. Like, they filter all the negative things, and they sort of filter what reality really is. Because if you think about it realistically, the lives that people live on social media, let's be for real now, 0.1% of it is not true. 1. 2, everything that you see on social media, even if it looks real, it's not real. A lot of these people have gone for lip fillers, BBLs, facial injections, injections, boob jobs, jaw lifts. Like, when I tell you, social media is complete rubbish, and I don't think any of you guys should even feel like it just, like, the way that it affects your mental health and your ability to even just think, because it overstimulates your brain. So you run around with this narrative that if my life is not perfect, what can I see on social media that will kind of transition that? And it's just like, the reality is nobody lives the life that social media portrays. Nobody is as happy as social media portrays. Like, I feel like social media filters the reality. It filters, like, it basically just makes you want to believe that that's how your life should be 24/7, when realistically that's not the case. And the media really overly exaggerates a lot of things. Like, if anyone has TikTok, I think you will know that app has completely went off the hills. Like, before, I remember when I first had, like, quote unquote TikTok, I had it when it was Musically. So Musically was more like, it's not like how TikTok is now. It's more like everything was through, like, hand motions and, like, little trends and, like, old music, and, like, it was a bit more of a family-friendly app. And now it's just transcended its whole meaning. Like, I feel like it's not the way people shape it up to be anymore. Like, TikTok is one of the most controversial, toxic, like, people on that app are ruthless. No one really cares. People are filter-free. People come on there and say the most barbaric stuff. Like, it's not for the weak, is what I should say. Like, I feel like social media is only, like, I'm not trying to make it seem like social media is not good, because in some aspects social media can be a helpful tool, especially when it comes to, like, putting yourself out there, or, like, trying to get recognition, or, like, whatever it is. As long as you utilize it in a way it should be used, I think it should be fine. But I don't know, there's just something about it where it's just like, some people just don't use it in the way it's meant to be used, and they sort of abuse it rather than utilize. And if you don't know what the difference between utilize and abuse is, maybe you should, go and do your research. But I started to utilize my social media a bit more now, and like you can really see the benefits off of it rather than trying to look for sort of the negatives. But yeah, I don't know. There's just something about this whole narrative with social media that really pisses me off. I feel like there's a lot of harmful stereotypes as well. Like I have a lot of people that I look up to on social media, but just because I look up to them, that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm gonna take word for word everything that they say or everything that they do. But there's one specific person that I look up to on social media, and I don't look up to her because of like the person that she is. It's just the message that she portrays. I think is really, really impactful in a good way, and I feel like she's throughout her music career, she showed a lot of resilience. I feel like a lot of people are like this as well, where they look up to people online, but they know that that's not their life majority of the time. But just through how they carry themselves and like the message that they spread and stuff like that, can be very impactful, especially on the younger generation or like the youth. But not just with how she carries. It's like I look up to her with how she carries herself, the way she spreads this very like impactful message about mental health and bullying and like resilience and just like powering through. And her music also has a good meaning behind everything. I look up to her a lot, but I feel like there's also this thing that I was talking about ages and ages ago, where I was like, a lot of these people in the public eye, I feel like they forget where they've come from. Like, we understand, like, I feel like a lot of people has rose to fame and completely forgot that they got there because of people like us. You know, the people who stream their music, download their music, the people who, you know, pre-save their albums, or like the things that we do on a day-to-day. I feel like a lot of artists have rose to fame, and now that they've rose to fame, they start to treat their fans like strangers. Like, I find it really fucked up, like what money can really do to you once you hit the top. Like, once you get to the top of the pedestal and you're on the highest part of the hierarchy, and now you have a name for yourself, you're successful, you have brand deals, sponsorships, you know, collaborations and stuff like that. Once you get there and all of those things are within your name, you start to forget who really put you in that position. Because if it wasn't for social media, and if it wasn't for the people who go out their way every day to follow those people, like, comment, post, share, repost, whatever it is, these people wouldn't be where they are now. Like, I feel like now it's more so I'm at the top and that's it. Like, a lot of artists, I've seen a lot of people in the music industry, and they have rose to the top, and all they care about now is just the money. Like, that's what a lot of them use their supporters for money and fame and stuff like that. But then, like, when it comes to, like, even when they go for, like, meet and greets and they, like, go on tour and stuff, they won't even, like, stop by to even say hi or, like, greet their fans. They'll just walk past them and look at them like strangers. And that's what it makes me think, like, money can really change people. Like, that's why when I hear kids say, when I grow up, I want to be an artist, or I want to be famous, or, like, be in the public eye, it just makes me scared for them, because it's just, like, what makes you think that you want to be famous? Like, why do you want to put yourself in that position so badly? Like, because now it's just like, and there's also this narrative that once you get to the top, like, there's a girl in the music industry, I'm not going to say her name out loud, but she's experienced a lot of bullying, and a lot of people tell her, you're in the music, like, if you didn't want this to happen, you should have not put yourself out here then. It's just like, no, it shouldn't even happen, period. Like, why should I have to come into a music industry and expect to be completely torn apart and washed down to surface level because of how far I've come from after being dropped by a label or whatever it is. But yeah, I feel like just the whole mental health narrative now has just been completely washed, and just like people have just brainwashed and transcended the original meaning of mental health and have just thrown all sorts of stereotypes, stigmas, narratives, false perceptions. They've misconstrued the word, taken it out of context, blown it out of proportion. Like, all of the things that you can think of, people have just taken it out of meaning. And the reason why I bring social media into this is because it's just like, why don't we not look at social media like how we used to look at it? Like, where it was more of a place where you could just come on there, do what you need to do, and that's it. Like, social media has just completely changed, like, my perception on reality, because it's just like, it's almost like I have to live. I'm not saying that it's changed my perception on reality to that extent, but like, it can really make you think that that's how life should actually be, when if you look at it closely and you actually get to the point of understanding it, it really can shape your lens. Like, a lot of people in this reality now, we're so fixated on how we look, how we dress, the things that we buy and stuff like that, that we forget that the things that we want to afford doesn't come the way social media portrays it. Like, social media makes it seem like you have to be rich overnight, you have to be perfect overnight, you have to be good looking overnight, you have to meet a certain mental health criteria to be attractive overnight, you have to... It's just like, all of that is just bullshit. Like, life is not a race, success is not a race. Like, there's a quote that says, the snail always wins the race because they don't rush through. Like, it's not really a quote, but I've heard a lot of people say, oh, like, you know, the snail always wins the race, because even if they're going slow, they're picking up things that are useful and impactful and things that they can utilize. So then when they finish that race, they have a whole... Like, their mindset is very holistic. Whereas for people who rush it, it's just like, okay, you've went through all of that, but you haven't got the knowledge, or like, you haven't expanded your power to know that information, if that makes any sense. But yeah, like, I just think we need to do better as a generation. I think social media needs to stop pushing out this narrative of trying to make people believe things that are not really there. And every time I scroll through, I see a lot of things where I'm like, that's just complete bullshit. Like, life is not the way social media makes it seem. And it's sad that social media, like, pushes out... Instead of them pushing out things that are worthwhile, they push out things that are not even true at all. Like, and I feel sorry for the parents out there who have to raise their kids in a world like this, where social media is just complete bullshit. Like, I feel so bad. And I think to raise kids in this type of generation is the complete wrong time, because with everything that's going on, and like how mental health is being portrayed, and like social media, and how they kind of depict life and like shove it in your face and make it seem like... It's almost like they force you to live a life that we know it doesn't exist, and we know that it's just like... It's almost like they shove this sort of like picture in your face and say, this is the picture, and you have to make sure you draw this picture the exact same way with every detail. And it's like, I can't duplicate that sort of life, you know? If I could, I would, but if I can't, and I know it's not possible and that's not the reality, why am I going to push myself that far to do so, you know? Because not only does it, like, it just shows how, like, unauthentic you are. Like, life is all about, like, authenticity and, like, showing up as your best self and being who you are and trying to make a change every day and trying to show up as your best self and improving and learning and stuff like that. It's not the way social media portrays it to be. But yeah, that's it for today. Haven't really got a lot to talk about, as you can see, but the whole mental health narrative is really fucked up, and I think people need to do better, and social media needs to change their ways and stop making it seem like that's the reality when we know deep down in our hearts it's not. And yeah. But thanks for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Sorry it was really short. I need to probably find another topic to talk about that's a bit more far-fetched, but that's my take on social media and the mental health narrative. If you have any more ideas, please email me at unpoliticalbutpoliticalpodcast@outlook.com, or you can just comment underneath the audio on Spotify, and I can hopefully be able to see it. Other than that, please keep streaming Stosium episode 8 and Gender Roles and Mental Health episode 9. And yeah. Thanks, guys, for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.